Hello and welcome to episode 96 of the Sussex by the Sea podcast. A podcast that now covers local football in this great town of ours, as well as keeping up with all the frills and spills, highs and lows of my team, Hastings United. On the show this week, week 27 of the Hastings Report with my ESFL veteran co-host Leon Pettit, going through all the action from our local sides in the SCFL, MSFL and ESFL. Then we are joined by Timothy Booth-Jones and his Tim's Takes this week on our women's team's draw versus Bromley and our men's team's loss to Carshalton. I'm joined by Duncan Brooker, the chairman of the MIDSUSSEX Football League. He joins us to talk about the refereeing retention crisis and what needs to be done. It's a fascinating listen. And finally, we have the SBTS Fan Roundtable, where we round up the week that was for our beloved Hastings, plus the club statement on staying at the Pilot Field. Enjoy, grassroots football fans. And now over to week 27 of the Hastings Report. It gives me great pleasure to introduce week 27 of the Hastings Report with my wonderful ESFL veteran co-host, Leon Pettit. As I always ask, Leon, how's your week been?
Yeah, fine, mate. Yeah, no dramas.
Good. No one likes a drama. Right, so we're moving straight into Saturday's games in the SCFL and a wonderful win that we kind of predicted. We thought Crawley down Gatwick were playing, they were a bit iffy, and BEXHILL only went there and beat them 1-0. Tom Vickers scoring a pen. And we've also got someone who was at the game. So we've got a little review of the game from Chris Van Rock, who's Van Rock Chris on Twitter. Give him a follow. Massive BEXHILL fan. And he's a little bit of a vegan as well, if you like that sort of thing. He's just given us a review. Said there was attendance 75 at the Haven Sports Field at Crawley Down. Saw BEXHILL win from a 75th minute penalty by Captain Tom Vickers after Ollie Howe was brutally brought down running towards the goalkeeper. Funnily enough, there was a little smile afterwards, but still a penalty was given. First 20 minutes, the Pirates struggled, defensive issues and domination from the Anvils, and continued to a handled back pass by recent goalkeeper Alex Zamani, causing a close free kick just outside the box. Second half, BEXHILL discipline was absolutely outstanding. So much better, tight unit, finished 1-0 against a high-flying CDG. Only downside to it was last-minute substitution to Ollie Hull because of injury. Yellow card for Alex Zamani for time wasting. The lad has come in after trials with Brentford. He's one for the future. One thing to note was CDG's number 3, Sean Findley, looked dangerous with deep runs down the left. He says BEXHILL stay 8th and move on to Bognor on Tuesday night. Obviously, with something we're going to talk about with this discipline, and rested the Shonker himself. We should put up a decent show against really an impossible win against high-flying Bognor. I wouldn't say it was impossible myself, but in the Sussex Cup, BEXHILL's lack of quality on the bench is substituted by togetherness and a quality under-23 team, with players starting to move through from there. Obviously, long review there. Leon, anything to add to that?
No, I'll leave it to the super fan who was there.
Yeah,
well done, BEXHILL. Shot down a high flying, called it down Gatwick.
Yeah, they're having a bit of a wobble, aren't they?
They are indeed.
Right then. So, moving on. Again on Saturday, Little Common 3, Lingfield 2, Sam Ellis, Lewis Hull and Freddie Warren getting the goals for Little Common. Lewis Walker also saw red. In a back and forth match, Common's class shone through with Freddie Warren, a particular standout, which is why he won the Man of the Match award. So that's all good, isn't it? Nice to see the Common win again.
Yeah, it looks like a hard-fought win now. I think they're 2-0 up at half-time, and Lingfield maybe sort of tried to climb back into the game, but credit to Little Common, they held out, and it's round two on. Is it on Tuesday tomorrow?
It
Well,
certainly is.
obviously we're talking now on Monday, so tomorrow, Tuesday evening, it'll be round two. The old bell goes off, and away we go.
So straight on to fixtures, Leon. As you mentioned, there is a immediate return fixture. Will Common make it home and away wins, or will Lingfield get their revenge? To be honest, I favour Common. They seem to be flying now. What do you reckon?
Yeah, no, they're form sort of the second half of the season. They're climbing up that table, making good use of the games in hand they've got. So yeah, no, just based on that alone, they seem to be fighting for their win. So I could see them getting scrapping another win there.
Right, and then the big game tomorrow. As I say, recording Monday night, Tuesday night is the game. This will be coming out Tuesday. Bognor Regis versus BEXHILL. Could BEXHILL do it at Naywood Lane? To be fair, Bognor are in shocking form. They've lost the last 4. I mean, come on, the Pirates. It's got to be, isn't it?
Yeah. I suppose I'll have to back my local side. Yeah, why not? Even though my head says maybe Bognor might do it.
Get those thoughts out of your head, Leon.
But no, scrap that. Edit that bit out. Yeah, BEXHILL for the win.
The shonk, mate. Then on Saturday, BEXHILL have got AFC Valdinians. The Valdinians, who have lost the last 3, I don't think they'll be getting any joy at Polgrove, will they?
No, you said it, mate. The Valdinians' form isn't the best. And yeah, I think Little Common. BEXHILL will be winning that one.
Yep. Talking a Little Common, they travel to Saltdean. Little Common got to fancy this game. Saltdean haven't won since the end of October, Leon, and are in a right free fall.
Yeah, I think I will watch the reverse fixture this at Little Common, and Common, I don't think we're entirely out of the races that day, but they still looked the better side and beat them. So I think, yeah, just the way it's been going lately, I'd expect a comfortable win there for Little Common.
Right. So that's the SCFL. So let's move on to the MSFL. Saturday's results. Let's go straight to Hollington 7, Ashurstwood 0. This was a game that I attended. I got the second half. The goal scorers for Hollington: Dan Tewkesbury, Charlie Cornford, Brad Pritchard, 2 for Lewis McGuigan, Paul Rogers and Zach McHenry. I mean, I only got there in the second half. I didn't even realise that they were 6-0 down, Ashurst. To be honest, they really did try and keep up with Hollington. I mean, it was a feisty affair. And, you wouldn't have known it, that they were losing 6-0. A very physical side who definitely give 110%. Amazed that it stayed 11 versus 11. But Hollington, clearly had the quality and the advantage. And to be fair, they sealed the game with one of the most comical free kicks. Just to explain, free kick about 25 yards out. There was so much needle going on. It was, you'd have loved it, Leon. From both sets of players. And there's a big horde of them all moaning and groaning. The goalie was kind of 15 yards out, moaning as well. And you saw that the bloke taking it, I don't know who got the last goal, so sorry. But he asked the ref, can I take this kick? And the ref said yes. So he's kicked it straight in. And everyone started cracking up laughing. Hollington coach did say, goalie, where's your wall, when it went in. And there was much laughter on the sidelines, but absolutely convincing from Hollington. They've won this. I know they're only 3 points clear with 3 games in hand, but Hollington are miles better than most of the sides in this league. So, any thoughts on the Hollington game, Leon?
No, mate. You even for the second half, you was there, so I'll take your assessment there. Did you help yourself to the food that was going after the game? Apparently, I hear there was a bit of spare food going. Thought you might have got in there, got yourself a sausage and.
Well, yes, I am a little piggy, but I was at work, so I could only nip down for my break. So if I'd have known they'd left all the food, I would have probably took some with me.
The human Hoover.
Yeah, exactly. No. Right then, so moving on. Unfortunately, Linfield 3, Battletown 1. Rory Farrell, Josh Meza and Lewis Popple getting the goals for Linfield. Unfortunately, battle succumbed to mighty Linfield. They had it at 2-1 for a while, but Lewis Popple finished them off. Yeah, real shame there, Leon. battle of they're kind of floundering now, which is a shame. They seem to be out of that race, and Linfield look strong for that second spot, don't they?
Yeah, no, it's can't really add much more to that, but it's still been a cracking effort from Battle really to come into this league. You know, it's a very strong league, and to go on that run of form they did was still an amazing few games they had. So but season's not over yet. It's still still got a few games left. So hopefully they can turn it around towards the end of the season and end on a high.
Well, I certainly hope so, Leon. Okay, Ringmer 3, Suddlescombe Rangers 3. Hat-trick for Ringmer's Adam Burton with a red card for Ellis Webster, and for Suddlescombe, Aidan Aspinall getting a hat-trick. Good there from Suddlescombe. I mean, to be honest, we sort of expected the draw, and we got that, didn't we, Leon?
Yeah. Can't really add much more to that.
Okay, so we move on to fixtures. Reigate versus Hollington. Mid-table Reigate still haven't faced Hollington this year. Bad weather put pay to that. I mean, I don't think they're going to enjoy meeting Hollington. What do you think, Leon?
No, I agree.
Okay. Right, and a nice little local fixture here. Suddlescombe Rangers versus Westfield, again on Saturday. This Saturday coming. That fight for second spot looks beyond Westfield now in this local action. I reckon that this is a draw, as Westfield don't tend to travel well. I don't know if that's a controversial take or not, but what do you think, Leon?
Oh, I think that's not a bad shout. A local derby. All the players are going to know each other, going to play for pride a bit more, and there's going to be possibly a bit more needle to the game. So, I could see a draw.
And again on Saturday.
What I should add is I was out on Saturday after watching my art house film. We sat in the anchor, and people are obviously talking about you. It's not discreet. And look over at the table, and you've got Mark Stately, a couple of other Westfield lads, and one of them was Warren Peffig, and he's not happy with you, mate. He might not be happy with me now, the way I pronounce his name, but he's saying the way you pronounce his surname, he didn't seem too happy. I don't know if he had a few beers in or whatever, but he wasn't happy.
Oh, okay. Well, Warren, tell us how you pronounce your name, mate.
Exactly, yeah. No, yeah.
It's not on purpose.
Westfield lads, listen and let us know.
Dear.
I probably slaughtered his name just then. But...
Okay. Warren, don't kill us. It's not intentional.
Just trying to enjoy a nice drink with my missus in the pub, and
no, it's these Westfield people, aren't they? They're just they're aggressive, aren't they? Right then, so moving on, Battletown versus Rotherfield. Hopefully, Battletown can return to form against second off bottom Rotherfield. You'd hope so, wouldn't you, Leon?
Yeah, it's a good chance for them to turn around that little rut they're in. So I can see them picking up 3 points for this one.
Right, and so we move on to ESFL Prem. Crowhurst 5, Rockingham 1. Crowhurst goals from Reece Johnson, Sean Leonard, Cole Tomlin, Jermaine Tate and Sean Baldwin. Rockingham put to the sword by a vibrant Crows, who are putting serious pressure on Punnets Town for that second spot. Punnets Town 4, St Leonard's Social 2. Mark Phillips with a man of the match and a goal. Casey Ham, Reece Davies and Simon Betteridge for the Punnets Town. That's now 7 on the bounce for Punnets, who maintain second spot. They needed to, with Crowhurst winning so well. Westfield Reserves 4, Sidley United 1. Unfortunately, the goals aren't up on the FA system yet, so sorry I can't give you the goal scorers. My apologies. In the this mid-table battle, Westfield won it in the first half by being 3-0 up within half an hour. So well done, Westfield. Then we move on to the Macron Store Hastings Cup for sides in the ESFL Prem. And that's BEXHILL AAC Neil, BEXHILL Town 2, goal scorers Jack Cooper and Harry Saville. Again, still in the Macron Cup. Rye Town 3, Robertsbridge United Nil, Anthony Hughes, Milton, Miltadoo, and Charlie Stevens. Sorry, Milton, if I've just brutalised your name. Right. Moving on to ESFL Division 1. Battletown Reserves 1, Little Common Reserves 9. That man, Attilio, didn't get 1, didn't get 2. He got 4. Nicholas Kavanagh got a hat-trick and 2 from Andrew McTeer making it 9 for Little Common. Winless battle were really put to the sword there. Wadhurst 1, Sandhurst 4. James found the net not once, twice, but 3 times. And Harry Dance made it 4 for Sandhurst. Sandhurst keep up the pressure on Tackaway for that top spot. In the ESFL Challenge Cup for Division 1-2 sides, Junior Club Tackaway, that was a home win as Parsamouth Firsts couldn't field a side. ESFL Division 2, Bexhill Rovers 2, Hollington Reserves 3, Bradley Najaya, Jordan Ray and Daniel Woodley getting the goals for Hollington. Bottom club Bexhill put up a real fight against Hollington, but that extra bit of quality sealed it. And it just so happens Colin Davey, big time Bexhill fan, Colin Davey sent us a little review in. I'm just going to get that. Colin Davey, who's the darkness on the Edgerton on Twitter, or Colin_Davey, just said, you know, I left before the end because I was cold and wet. I think it finished 2-3 to the Hollington. The visitors were bigger and much fatter. Missed the pen for about 10 yards and shaded it.
Obviously, Hollington are very used to their post-game grub.
Well, eating it on their own.
yeah, because they're obviously upsetting all the away teams. So, yeah, double servings.
Right then. Okay, right. So, Who 2, Ninfield 2, big local derby, as it was termed, the Old Farm Derby, which I thought was quite funny. For Who, Connor Loke and Jake Penn getting the goals, and Jason Taylor and Danny Austin getting the goals for Ninfield. I have Matt the ref was reffing that game. He did say that a certain Chris Agata was giving it a bit of mouth, and he had to have a few words with him. You know, what can you say? To be fair, you know, Who took a surprising 2-0 lead. Great fight back from Linfield to make it 2-2. Parsamouth seconds 5, Nordium 75-3. The goals for Parsamouth from a hat-trick from Fraser Descali, and Harry Spice got a couple. Anthony Clemens with 2, and John James with the other goal for Nordium. There's goals galore in this mid-table battle. Parsamouth coming out on top. Victoria Baptist 3, Icklesham Casuals 1. The goals for Victoria Baptists, Joe Pratt, Felix Smith, and I'm presuming an own goal because there's nothing up there. Phil Badrock getting the goal for Icklesham. Obviously, you were at the game, Leon, because you played. Who got that third goal for Victoria, and was it an OG? And what's your thoughts on the game?
I actually don't remember. Don't remember being an own goal. I don't remember the first goal, to be fair. But yeah, I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, we started with our get the violins out again. We started with our 62-year-old manager. Started him up front, and he ended up dropping into midfield, and he did all right, actually, to be fair to him. Yeah. But yeah, I think fitness come into play a bit at Victoria. You can see, you look at the web page, you can see they rotated a few of their subs about. I mean, I know refs have a difficult job, but I think we got harshly done over by a few decisions, and I got sin binned for my.
You getting sin binned? How could that happen, Leon?
My God,
you're
because
so lovely.
I told you know, people don't like being told the truth, do they? No, actually, I just asked him how much he's getting paid for this. So I think it's a valid question. But no, I was just a bit.
Gave a little bit of trap,
a bit stroppy because he didn't give a foul against me, and in that 10 minutes up until giving the awarding the penalty, it was all a bit stroppy, and I took it too far. So yeah, but I did shake his hand after the game, and you know, told him to keep it up because I'm aware that we're short on refs. So you know, you can't help it sometimes, can you?
Well, funnily enough, I'm interviewing the MIDSUSSEX football. I think it's the chairman about that very question, Leon, this week. So, so I will be bringing your name up, and let's find out how much you've been fined up to now.
I don't think you get fined for sin bins, thankfully. So,
well, at least not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, so again, just dust yourself down and move on. Is it that sort of thing? Yeah,
much. You know, second half we played a lot better, to be fair. When we got the ball down, played nice little triangles, and Phil scored a really good goal. I ended up moving in centre midfield and really enjoyed it because that's my favourite position. Made a few few
It is,
little
isn't it? It
good
is. You
movements.
made the
Yeah.
ESFL team of the week in that position.
Played a part in the goal. Like me, Phil, and old Dave Pewey. Thought we played well. So hopefully the management have taken note of that, and I can get a nice little run in. You'd feel my hamstring held out as well, so because I didn't have to actually sprint after some 20-year-old galloping down the wing. So despite the result, I ended up enjoying it just because I was getting involved and actually played okay. So but like I say, this season's a bit of a write-off, so I just try and enjoy the rest of it.
That's so good too. You do it for love. You do it for love, Leon.
Yeah, it might not look like it, especially when you're having a strop at the ref. But...
Well, the last result, Sedlescombe Rangers Reserve 2, PECHE 2. Good draw for PECHE considering their injury situation against a very good Sedlescombe Rangers outfit.
Yeah, I was going to say that those results just show that how competitive Div 2 is. Obviously, we managed to get our draw against Sedlescombe last week with our squad. But the fact that BEXHILL made Hollington fight for their win, who managed to get a point from Ninfield. These are teams that have been struggling most of the season, going to teams like Ninfield and Hollington who have been really good as of late, and they look like a really good game. So it's like I'm sure I said before, it's good to see how competitive this division is in particular, excluding us, obviously.
Moving on, ESFL Division 3, Catsfield 2, Mountfield United 0. Unfortunately, goals aren't up on the FA site. Routine will win for Catsfield, let's be fair. Hastings Comets 1, Sovereign Saints Reserves 3. The goals for Sovereign Saints, Bobby Allen, Max Butcher and Luke Maglanon, with the Comets goal scorer Jordan Wakeling. Orrington 1, Crowhurst Reserves 0. Scott Higgs scoring the only goal and putting Orrington right in that promotion mix. Parkfield 3, Bexhill AAC Reserves 2. Parkford made the hard work of lowly Bexhill, and they're still in that chasing pack. They haven't put their goals up on the system, but Bexhill's goal scorers was Charlie Morgan with a couple. Westfield Thirds 2, Rytown Reserves 4, George Pegman with 2, Liam Sawyer and Rob Levitt, with Westfield's goal scorers Alegi Torre and Sam Way. Third place Rye, right in the mix with this win. 3 games in hand on second place and only 2 points behind. ESFL Challenge Cup for Division 3-4 sides. HERSTMONCEUX 3, Ticehurst 1. Goal scorers Jack Brown, Rory Collins and Mark Stilwell. Ticehurst's goal scorer was Darren Nichol. ESFL Division 4, Burwash 0, Tackaway 5. Tackaway's goal scorers Cal Hackos, Toby Payne with a couple, Sean Fuller and Jamie Pelling. Hawkers United Reserves 0, Battletown Thirds 3. And unfortunately, they don't have their goals up at time of recording. But that win moves Battle to 4th place. Right. Robertsbridge United 4, Hastings Athletic 1. Comfortable win here for Robertsbridge versus Bottom Club Athletic. Their goal scorers, Robertsbridge's, were Callum Bayton, 2 for Sebastian Collingwood and 1 for James Hopkinson, and Joshua Goodsell saw red for Robertsbridge. Pass and move Thirds 0, Westfield Fourths 3. Ashley Jameson bagging a hat-trick. And the last result in Div 4, Sedlescombe Rangers 3, Wellcroft Park Rangers Reserves 0. Big win there for second place Sedlescombe, inflicting Wellcroft's first defeat of the season. Sedlescombe's goal scorers were Tom Ackley and a couple for Jake Warner. So ESFL team of the week. We've got Orrington's goalie Brandon Easley in there, with the left back Jacob Waller of Battletown, Harry Spice and Andy McTear of Pass and Move and Little Common as centre halves, with Adam Smith on the right from Parkfield, Bavon Albala from Westfield on the right midfield, with central midfield pair of Sammy Fulks and Connor Middleton of Rytown and Punnetstown. On the left midfield, Little Commons Leo Field. Up front, Nordium 75's Anthony Clemens and Josh Naylor of Battletown. And that is your ESFL team of the week. Leon, that was the week that was, and I'll see you next week.
I'll see you next week, mate.
over to Tim's takes.
Not the best of weekends for Hastings United, men's and women's team. The ladies played away at Bromley and they drew 2-2, dropping 2 points against a team they beat reasonably easily at home. So it was a disappointing result for them. They had the young Asha Moody in goal, and they had Jess Bellahue, Beth Crease, Vix Phillips and Millie May in defence. Their midfielder Ella Roper, Ruby Harris, Charlotte Gurr and Jade Davenport, and Sian Heather and Nicole Bate up front. Yeah, it's a sort of scrappy game. We never really got control of it, with Claire Johnson equalising in the second half when she came on as substitute, and Jade Davenport, I think, scored her first goal for Hastings United ladies. Unfortunately, Ashford won 1-0 at Newhaven, a close game, obviously close result. So it means now that Ashford are just 2 points behind us with a game in hand. So with the results getting a bit tighter now, it's likely that sides will drop a few points. Hopefully Ashford will drop a few on the way, and Hastings, just got some tricky matches coming up away to Welling and Ashford. So we've got to try and maintain some good results over the second part of the season. So a disappointing draw for the ladies. The men struggle a bit at Carshalton. We don't seem to like playing on the 3G pitches. It's a very cold afternoon there, and it was a cold afternoon for our supporters, really. We didn't really get into the game. We never really threatened Carshalton to any great extent, even though we played a very attacking formation, with Nori playing wide on the left and Freddie wide on the right, with 2 forwards right up. But to be fair, Ben Pope and Dave Smith never really got much possession in the opposition half, and we didn't threaten from long throws or corners, whereas they did look quite threatening. So in a tight game, 2 good sides. Carshalton just had the edge, and we got a last-minute penalty. But let's look forward to next week, and hopefully men's and ladies teams can get back to winning ways.
Now we're joined by Duncan Brooker, MIDSUSSEX Football League Chairman. It gives me great pleasure to have Duncan Brooker on. He's the Chairman of the MIDSUSSEX Football League. Just a quick thing, the MIDSUSSEX Football League's been going since the 1900s, affiliated to the Sussex FA, 13 divisions, 13 different cup competitions covering both East and West Sussex. Duncan, thank you very much for your time and good morning.
Good morning, Chris. Very nice to talk to you.
Thank you, sir. So we talk now, as it was highlighted, I think in a post on Facebook that you put up, the amount of misconduct reports has gone up exponentially. And, this is called a LinkedIn with the Enough is Enough campaign, which is trying to, get people to respect referees a little bit more. These reports that are going in, Duncan, I mean, what are you finding is the most common complaint in these reports?
What we're finding is that we're getting a number of referees that are writing and reporting misconducts against clubs because they are feeling threatened, they're not feeling safe at games, they are getting an undue amount of grief and hassle from players, usually one or two individuals in the game, but that's enough to spoil it for a referee. And it's enough for them to say, look, that's it, I'm not doing this again. And we've had a few referees over the last 2 years really have done one game in adult football and said, no, I don't want that, I can do without this. And they're not coming back to do a second game. And all the clubs, I'm sure, throughout Sussex are aware of the extreme shortage of referees we've got. We have probably 10 games every week which are refereed by non-qualified officials from within clubs or people that they've roped in to referee a game. And that's not a situation that we want to carry on. But the way we're going, it's going to get worse. And next year it'll be 20 referees that we're short every week. And clubs are providing more and more refs. It's down to the club to look after these people. And that's the bottom line, that's the message we want to get out, is that if the clubs and the players don't look after the referees and treat them with respect, then they're going to walk away from the game. And with the current trend, my prediction is in 10 years' time, we won't have any refs at grassroots level because, I mean, if you look at the age, you mentioned Barry Myers, you look at the age of the referees we've got, I'm 63 and I'm still refereeing at the senior level. They're not going to be around in 10 years, all these people. We're going to be relying on the youngsters and the new referees that we're recruiting now to do these games in the future. And if they're not there, it's the biggest problem, I think, facing grassroots football is the future shortage of referees we're going to get. And the only way to fix it is for the clubs to look after the referees we've got at the moment, make them at home, make them welcome at games. We all make mistakes. Players probably make more mistakes than the referees in the game, but they don't get any grief for it. It's all centred on the referee. And it needs to stop. And as they say, enough is enough.
Yeah.
What we do know from the County FA is that there's no shortage of people out there that want to become football referees. Their courses are full up. If you try and get on a referee course with the Sussex County FA now, there'll be a waiting list to get on. The problem is not attracting new people to referee, it's retaining the ones we've got once they've qualified. That's where the problem is. And the only people who can sort that are the clubs and the players.
Completely with you on that. As a fan, I've heard it from the sidelines, and I mean, there's I suppose there's levels. There's your banter with your match officials, and then there's going across the line, and every adult knows what going across the line is. I don't need to reiterate it on here. These people, if you don't have a ref, you don't have a game. I think that a lot of people need to remember. No one wants to go down the route of clubs officiating their own games. Needs to be unbiased people involved with making a game happen. You were touching on the enough is enough there, Duncan. In terms of, I know you're saying that there's waiting lists for refs. I mean, how long are these courses? If they're not retaining people, is there anything that they're trying to do, the FA, in terms of getting these people back, or what's occurring there?
Well, I do know. I was at a meeting with the County FA and all the leagues just before Christmas, and one of the main reason that referees don't stay in the game that was quoted, and it's feedback. The County FA, they contact referees when they don't register for a new season. They contact them, find out why, and the underlying reason is the amount of abuse and grief they get during the game. That is the underlying reason why referees aren't re-registering for the next season. They've had enough, and they just don't want it. The majority of referees that I see that are getting trained are sort of parents of kids that are playing football, and their kids need a referee, so they go on a course, they get trained up, and they start doing junior kids or youth football. And what we want to do is migrate those referees from youth football into adult football. And there's emails that go out every Thursday saying such and such the league is short of referees this week if you can help. Now every qualified referee gets all those emails, and there's one for every single league in Sussex. They're all short. We've had referees from MIDSUSSEX that have replied to that and said, look, I've only done youth football. I'm happy to come along and help on a Saturday. I'll do a game for you. They do a game. They send an email to our referee secretary after the game saying, I'm not having any more of that. That's just not worth it. The amount of grief was unbelievable. And they don't come back. And so that's one game, and the impression of adult football is it's something they don't want to do, and they don't come back. So that referee's now lost to adult football. And that's the sort of situation we've got to try and get around.
Yeah.
And and get these referees, make an enjoyable experience for them, so that they want to come back the following week.
In terms of getting the clubs together and banging their heads together about it, I mean, I'm sure on an individual level attempts have been made. I mean, is there anything in the future coming up that to get people together to? Because as you say, if they're not staying, something has to change because we want refs for games.
We came to head in our cup finals. You mentioned we have about 13 cup finals, and a couple of those cup finals last season, we had problems with players abusing and even assaulting referees in games. And even myself wasn't assaulted, but I was, someone took an aggressive attitude towards me during the game. And those are players that we want to get. Now, at the AGM before the start of the season, I made a big talk about referee abuse and how to look after them. And we said that as a league, we're not going to tolerate this. And we are going to remove registrations from players that are known offenders and get a proven misconduct against them for a referee, sort of whatever. Anything over 100 days, if you get a 100-day suspension and you're playing in the Mid-Sussex League, you can expect the Mid-Sussex League to terminate your registration with that league. So you won't be playing anymore. And that's what we're going to try and do for going forward. Try and get these people, because these individuals tends not to be clubs. We're going to get them out of our game, and so at least they won't be playing in the Mid-Sussex.
Yeah.
And, it's something we're going to do. We've told the clubs this, and we've started to do it this season. And next season, if those players want to register, before we accept their registration, we're going to have them in for an interview and ask them how they're going to clean up their game before we accept and let them play in our league. So we're trying to do as much as we can as a league by informing the clubs and giving them as much information about what we're going to do to remove these offending people from the game.
Well, fair enough. Obviously necessary steps.
Necessary, I think, because we don't want these people in the game. If they can't clean their act up, we don't want them in the game.
I suppose one of the things I might say is, from looking from a player's point of view, maybe we're looking at all refs make errors. They're human beings. That's a given. Yeah, no one is perfect. No player is perfect. Would you say that could it be that the ref needs to maybe take more control of a game? Either it's using the cards or whatever. But actually, there's not a problem with a bit of chat as long as it's respectful.
There are ways in which referees can make the situation easier for themselves, but let's not lose the sight of the fact that we are playing at grassroots level at the probably the lowest end of adult football a lot of the time. And some of the players, they're playing at that level because that's the level they're at.
Yeah.
And let's just accept that the refereeing is the same. There's all levels, there's good, really excellent referees, there's good referees, and there's some that are very enthusiastic and want to do it, but aren't perhaps quite so good. And unfortunately, at the lower levels of the league, at grassroots football, we are going to get referees that, they want to do it and they're enthusiastic and they're keen, but perhaps, they just haven't got the capability of some of the better referees. Unfortunately, all the players expect a top-class referee every game.
Yeah.
Whether they're playing in Division 6 of the Mid-Sussex League, they expect a referee that's going to be on top of it, going to manage that game like they see on the Premier League. And I'm afraid it's just it's not there.
Yeah, it's not
And
realistic.
you mentioned mistakes. All referees make mistakes. I'm sure every referee, including myself, makes mistakes in every single game they referee. But as a player, you've got to accept it and get on with it, and just hope that by encouraging them and being actually gentlemanly to them and being polite, they might improve. And because another thing, I know from refereeing, if you've got 4 players rabbiting in your ear all through the game, you're not concentrating on making decisions. You're concentrating on getting rid of them and shutting them up. So the less grief you get a referee, the more they'll be able to concentrate on the game and get their decisions right and hopefully make less mistakes.
Is there anything that maybe the Mid-Sussex would look at in terms of promoting positive behaviour from players, be it really rewarding clubs that are very well disciplined and respectful? I don't know how you would do that.
I can tell you now, we have a respect league in our league. In the Mid-Sussex League, we have a respect league, and every division throughout the Mid-Sussex League, we mark clubs on their conduct, and you lose points for things like yellow cards, red cards will lose you points. We have a respect table that's published every month in our management meeting minutes, and at the end of the season, we use our sponsorship money we get from Grey Hooper Holt solicitors. Respect leagues for every division. We have a respect table as well as the actual points league table. The top clubs in each division, and there's about 13 altogether, the top clubs get a monetary reward at the end of the season for good behaviour. And we're talking hundreds of pounds. There's a financial incentive here for clubs to actually to behave and treat the referee. And those marks come from club marks from the referee. Every single match a referee referees, he gives respect marks to those clubs, both home and away. And those are the marks that we use those marks along with yellow, number of yellow cards. You lose points for yellow and red cards or misconducts, and they all go towards this to build this respect table.
Anything that's going to give referees a bit more respect, then it's something to encourage. Again, I'd say it 100 times. You haven't got a game if you haven't got a ref.
I mean, the games. I think everyone would agree the game is a lot better off with a neutral referee rather than one of the team's managers refereeing it from the centre circle.
Yeah, 100%.
If I was to summarise, I would say that I've been chairman of this league for about 5 years now. So we went all through the COVID. We had to make some very difficult decisions through COVID. Everybody missed their football. It's one of the main things. When we came out of COVID, we as a league decided straight away we're going to get football going. People need it and they want to play football. But unfortunately, since we've come out of COVID, we and I think most all the referees and the leagues will say this, we've seen a marked increase in the amount of disrespect towards referees since we've come out of COVID. I don't know why that is, but it's seen. And we've got to stop it. We've got to put a stop on this now before it gets a lot worse and we lose even more referees to the game. And then you're sitting there, as I say, within 10 years' time, even at the combination league level in senior football, they're lucky to have 3 officials for their Premier and Div 1 games at the moment every week. I can't see that would survive, having that level of officials, if they don't start looking after them at the lower level of football.
Thank you, Duncan Brooker, Mid-Sussex Football League Chairman. Thanks for your time and thanks for that. And hopefully people will start listening and we need to respect our refs.
Let's hope so, and hopefully a lot of people will hear this podcast and will start thinking differently about how they treat referees.
And now we go over to the SBTS fan roundtable. Many thanks to Windy John and Super Malk for making it happen. What's that? Is that beer?
It's Vinto, that is.
Vinto. Were you a child?
And it's not the fizzy stuff. It's
Vinto.
John, we can moot you, you know.
Liquid Viagra.
Right then, it gives me great pleasure to introduce episode 96 of the Fan Roundtable of the Old Sussex by the Sea podcast. We have the wonderful, lovely Windy John Gale here and agent Super Malk, who's just hot off signing Joe Gabodi's first professional contract for Gillingham. So you're a very happy man, aren't you, Malcolm?
Oh, I am, yeah. Yeah, it's it was good to get that deal done, really.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
Vinto.
Yeah. And your fee?
I can't divulge.
I can't divulge. I can.
No. Now, a good agent never divulges fee.
Yeah. Well, we thought, unfortunately, the Hastings boys lost on Saturday and lost fairly easily, I hear, to Carshalton. It was a bit of an average game for us. That's going to happen from time to time. Myself and Windy weren't there. I've heard from a number of people how the game went. That it weren't that they were very great. It was we were quite average. But the Malcolm was there. Give us your verdict, mate.
We were worse than average, mate. We were poor. We were poor. It's probably the worst game I've seen us play. They weren't great, but they just got at us, and yeah, we just didn't seem to turn up. So it was a really poor game. So
was that just from whistle to whistle, or was there any point where we perked up a bit, or was it just a flat Saturday?
It was a flat Saturday. We just I think we deceived a little bit in the last few weeks. We've been getting results, and I think we've actually thought we've been doing quite well, and we played against some poor sides and got results, to be fair.
Yeah.
And I think Saturday we just come up against a team that weren't poor, but they weren't great either. But they were better than what we had been playing, and we didn't turn up again.
I think I sort of touched on it a little bit last week by saying we're grinding out 3 points without playing that brilliant.
Yeah.
And now it's just sort of coming bit. So it doesn't mean we ain't going to do well again. But
no, for the Craig game, we did okay against a good side. But again, it was 1-0 and without sort of playing that great. The other teams were poor, I think. Corinthian Casuals and them type of teams. They were poor and we should be beating them comfortably. And we come up against a team that wanted to win it more than us, and we just didn't turn up again.
And again, like obviously Gary likes to use that bench early. Just nothing came from the bench.
To be fair, Chris, when you look at our bench, we've not got game changers on there. We got youngsters on there. And I'm not on here to run youngsters down, and I won't do that. But
no, you get arrested, mate.
Yeah,
run up youngsters down, mate.
Yeah, get on a register or something. But
hang on, mentions of the register 2 weeks in a row here. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to get off it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're not game changers, are they? And they, place like Carshalton must be thinking, when they look at our bench, it's not anything to fear really. But it is what it is,
So you've buried the team.
Yeah, the subs. Shall I move on to the management?
Yeah. Does Gary have to go as well now? Is that it?
No, not yet. I'll give him another week to make up for it. I told Mino when I left.
Yeah.
So you're right on the knife edge now.
Yeah. So it wasn't a happy experience, is what you're saying here, Malcolm.
No, and it's just disappointing, when you have a long journey, which even for me, I'm sort of 3/4 of the way there compared to a lot of the Hastings fans that travel up on the coach. It's disappointing when you go and watch that. We were 2-0 down. I don't think we kicked a ball. So we certainly couldn't string more than 2 passes together. That's unusual for us, even at the back. We just couldn't string them around.
I'm almost in tears here. This is a tearjerker.
It's quite
Malcolm.
The only reason I wanted to come on tonight to really slate them.
Well, from what I've heard, obviously it was a 3G pitch. It wasn't a great 3G pitch, and maybe it's just me and that I'm superstitious, but I just don't think we ever play well on them, and that might be just in my head. But whenever I hear we're playing on a 3G pitch, I always think, oh fucking hell, it's going to be.
I don't like them.
Yeah, that hoodoo seems to continue.
Yeah.
So
it almost feels a bit almost unfair that you got
one moment, guys. I'll be back with you.
Oh, was that Joe? There we go. He's not happy. He's not happy. He's got a 3-year deal. He wanted a 3-year deal. Malx has only got him a 1-year deal.
I see. That's the problem. He's back with us when classes go back on. He's back with us.
Hello, guys. I'm listening. I only muted myself.
Any more about Carshalton?
No, we best get off that.
But how many roughly do you reckon we took up for that then? How many fans roughly?
How many did they say there was there? 400, I reckon. I reckon we took about 100 of them.
Yeah.
At least, yeah. I mean, it's it was quite a few of ours. I looked around, and like at the end when the players come up and clap and that, there was a lot of fans of ours left, and I sort of looked around. I thought, oh, I didn't realise you were over there, and you were over there. The usual crowd, Gary and his lot, and Gina and that were there behind the goal, but there was a lot on the side stands as well.
Yeah. Well,
you're in the corporate boxes these days, isn't you, Mount?
Yeah, well, no, I wasn't this time.
No prawn sandwiches, eh?
No.
Right, moving on. Okay, moving on. Just quickly to fill you all in. When I was advertising this week's podcast, we wanted to talk about the club statement that Hastings are staying in Hastings, which as a statement I like. The statement itself didn't make much sense, but it's good to see Hastings staying in Hastings. I did ask any member of the club if they could come on and talk about it, and funnily enough, all of them were busy. They could all be busy, I don't know. But also a lot of the fans, I'm very surprised, aren't here. Just a lot of trapping's been going on, a lot of WhatsApping and things on Facebook and chat. Well, this was the opportunity, and you're not here. So what can we say to that?
I haven't read some of it on Facebook about 5 minutes before I came on air. I'm probably more confused now than I was before. So there's not a lot I can say about it either.
Oh, yeah. Well, is it just going to...
Go on.
Yeah. Chris. Yeah. So, with anyone who's Hastings fans listening to this has seen the statement. I haven't got it in front of me. I'll just get it in front of me so I can read it.
Yeah, it's worth reading.
I'll see the original statement. I think it was on the website. But
okay. Is there another one? Is there another one?
No, that's the one. That's the one Mount was talking about.
I was about to say, bloody hell, not another one.
But some of the comments have been put on since are like statements, but they're the sort of people you should be hopefully would have turned up tonight to say what they want to say.
Yeah, well,
and put it on paper, and writing on social media. There's a chance to say it for real, isn't it?
I expected George to come on. I must admit, he's been very vocal about this sort of thing. But
there's a lot of them that have been vocal, Malk.
Yeah.
What the bit I don't understand, okay, in the report, which is that they're saying that there was going to be a draft report from their previous meeting that they had. When was it? 2, 3, 4 months ago now?
About December, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah. So because they know that draft report's coming out, that they're no longer moving to Eastbourne, right? That makes no sense because they made the comments in that I don't really want to think about it. That supporters club meeting, where they said that they've agreed 6 months ago that they're moving to Eastbourne. Yeah? You were there, John, weren't
you?
Yeah. And they said that, yeah?
Yeah.
They'd agreed this already.
They didn't say they was definitely moving, though, did they? They'd agreed that they could do if the...
they said
the ground didn't pass the safety thing.
Basically, they said that they made an agreement with Eastbourne Borough.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. They made an agreement with Eastbourne Borough.
Just in case.
Well, no, they were saying they were going to Eastbourne Borough, as you remember. They said that
they said they had to do it early, just in case it failed its safety.
Yeah.
You should... Really?
Yeah, I think that's how I understood it at first, but it seems to have got clouded over a bit since then. This is why we need somebody else on it, isn't it?
Well, I thought, as I was at the meeting and the chair, I thought that what was being said was we are moving to Eastbourne Borough because we are not paying this ground. We don't want to anymore. You know, we want the time kiln to come back on as an option that you've taken away. And so, if you're not giving us that option, we're going to relocate to Eastbourne Borough. We're going to take the club out of the area. That's what I thought it was from. So, I mean, maybe look, that's just my take.
There was so much going on that night. It was quite hard I said at the time, it was quite hard to follow what was going on in that.
Because what's changed? To be honest, all right. If it's that case, if it's right, well, you know, they still have to pay that money that they don't want to pay, which is the ground maintenance.
Yeah.
Well, what's changed? Why is it now that they do want to pay it? But they're saying it's gonna affect budgets and that. As I say, the report itself, they already knew this report was coming out because it was agreed anyway that there would be a report made. Okay. And it was going to come out at a certain point in time. To me, this is them getting out of this because they've made a right pig's ear of it. Because it's like no one wants to go to Eastbourne, no fans are going to go there, and they've found a way to kind of get out of it.
It almost sounded like, right, we're listening to the fans. You don't want to go to Eastbourne, so we'll stay at Pilot Field, but somehow we've got to find the money. So what are we going to do about it? So that's how I read it anyway. And it's like the money for maintenance, you know.
Because you remember they said, that there's not going to be any kids academies because we're going to go Eastbourne.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember when he was Malk? I can't remember. I'm going to have to re-listen. I don't want to re-listen to it, but maybe I need to re-listen to it. And if I am saying things that are wrong, it's not intentional. And apologies if I am. But this is how I remember it.
That's why you need somebody else to volunteer to come forward so they can say what's right, rather than what are happening now is they're listening to this and then going. Well,
I don't care. The most important thing is things on paper, not words. Because you could have, for instance, I'm just throwing a name out there. You could have Billy Wood come on and say whatever. It doesn't mean that it's what's on paper. You know, like in terms of, it would be handy to see, well, what was the agreement? What was in place? Did it cost us any money? Eastbourne Borough ain't going to do this for free, are they?
The way I understood it was that it was, and as I say, that it was done early because somebody said, why has it been 4 months? This was agreed 4 months ago and we've not heard about it. And then it was said it had to be done because had to get something in place just in case, like we failed the safety thing and more money, which we're not, and I agree with you, which I actually said we're not willing to keep putting money into it for the ground maintenance. And they did quote an amount that it needed to be, or how much that was each year. And somebody said, well, show me pretty much the receipts and evidence on that. But yeah, it was done just in case, all these sort of things didn't materialise and, it couldn't be done. But yeah, it does seem strange that, like you say, all of a sudden those things were set there. I mean, we haven't had the safety thing. We haven't had a lot for next year. The maintenance is still going to be the same. So how come all of a sudden we are going to pay that? And we don't need Eastbourne now. It's when a couple of months ago we did need them.
Yeah, it's done something doesn't add up.
Well, there'll be two things. What it would be that the council have had a whisper with them. I've got something to say about the council after this. The council have had a whisper to them and told them that this is what's in the report. Maybe there's other options available. Just take the Eastbourne thing off the table. Yeah. Could be that. Because
there is something written in. There was something there that made me think there's something else going on other than Tolkien even.
Well, you might be right because I had an interview with the council that I had to take down because the club was threatening legal action and is still threatening legal action. I was going to put that interview up.
I thought they were going to drop that.
Well, the council are not willing to let me put it up because they're worried it might have legal action again. And I'll be honest, I just like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say there. Malk knows about these things you got to sign. These what are they called again? Silence orders, whatever they're called.
That's the one, yeah. That type of thing, yeah.
Yeah, because we're not ones to gossip. Anyway, But that's what I'm saying. It would have been really helpful if someone on the club was here. All
Thing is, Chris, you have to gossip because at the end of the day, you're not given the true facts, are you? So, you know, and you just get little snippets here and there, and everybody adds them up, and you know, 2 and 2 and come up with 5. And you have to because you're not told the truth. You know, it's they jumped on that meeting really, I think, to get a bit of the fans up in the air and force the council. That backfired a little bit. You know, but did it, you know, and I think they threw in there about Eastbourne, and yeah, you know, maybe it has a little bit got to the council, and I think it worked to an extent, because if you listen to that, and like you say, you was there, the council ended up arguing with each other, saying, well, I was unaware of that, and you know, who made this decision on his own, and you know, so it achieved what they set out for it to achieve, half. You know, if you like, I think they wanted a lot more of the fans jumping up in the air and going on their side against the council. But on the other hand, I think,
Malk, having 50 people in a room on your side doesn't mean anything to you know, the council is I mean, how many people live in Hastings?
Yeah, exactly. It's over 100,000, isn't it?
Yeah. How many people come to an Hastings game?
Exactly. I've always said that. Same
it's
thing.
Like, you know, in terms of the council, and I've been pestering the council all the time about facilities and things like that. I would like answers, but I want to see forward progress. I'm not interested in party politics and all that. That's for idiots, because they're literally all the same, all politicians. You know, we're dealing with politicians here. You know, and there is some hope that there will be facilities in the town, but again, all chat. I've been promised month for a couple of months at least now that there would be an announcement about new facilities. Hasn't happened. Beginning to think that maybe this is. It could be that, you know, it's, you know, they're waiting for April. I don't know, but you know, don't promise something like what you say with hearsay and gossip. If you have to guess, to guess what's going on,
and you're never going to get anything. Have we got local elections coming up in May?
May, yeah.
I think we have, haven't we? Be interesting to see if anybody comes round houses like they normally do. See what they have to say about it all. Usually they don't. I don't know nothing about that. That happened last year. Oh, by the way, you do realise if you're going to vote, you do have to take photo ID with you this time.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I didn't know about that. It's quite new. So if you're voting, make sure and you want to vote, make sure you take your ID with you, because otherwise your vote they won't even let you give you a card to vote. So anyway, that's a side, but yeah.
I was going to draw 3 cheeks of the same arse on the on the card myself, but
that might turn into the new club logo.
But yeah, I'm kind of waffling here a bit. I think the point being is, I don't, again, like the club statement itself, and I'm willing to have conversations with anyone about it on here, you know, just for them if they want to. You know, I'm not here about burying people here. It's just, it is confusing. Yeah, the reasons behind it are confusing. The statement that come out where, you know, a lot come out of that supporters club meeting that wasn't good, yeah, and a lot of ill feeling, you know, even though I'm just talking about me again here, but like I resigned because of this. Lots of, you know, and it means a lot. That personally meant a lot to me. I mean, it might not mean anything to anyone else listening, but it's like, you know, when you're trying to get something going and moving and progressing.
Yeah, you struggled with that night because people weren't listening to what you were saying.
Well, it's like any time. But I started with my kids. None of them listen to me either. But just that thing of that they've made this statement, they've pushed it, they've inferred that we were going. They inferred it, and like they seem to have jumped on any old excuse to get off that. And if they haven't seen the report, if they haven't seen the report, which I think they probably have, maybe
it's a new signing.
Yeah, he's listening.
Yeah, he's all ears. He's all ears.
He's all ears.
Hello, mate. Rough.
Yeah. What do you reckon of what do you reckon about the ground move? What's the name of the dog?
Marley.
Marley. What do you reckon of the ground move? Not much. No,
don't want to go.
Bloody rubbish.
He likes Eastbourne better than Hastings.
There you go. There you go. Marley speaks. But it doesn't solve any of the problems. Yes, we stay in Hastings, but where's this money going to come from? If we're an Ishmael Prem side, which we definitely will be next season, at the very least, you never know. Hopefully, we can get a couple of wins and get in the playoffs. But if we don't, we're an Ishmael Prem side. there's a certain level of spending we're going to need to have to remain an Ishman Prem side.
Well, what's even worse is if we did get into the playoffs and then won it and then got promoted, what would we do then?
I think that the ownership might find more money somehow.
Well, you'd like to think so, but we'll see, won't we? Let's hope the lads can sort it all out and then we know.
and also,
I don't think they will. That's the thing, isn't it? They're just throwing money, and they come here. They're businessmen. They came here to make money, you know, and they perhaps fallen in love with the club, but they're not going to keep throwing money at it and not getting anything back at all.
No.
You know, so they'll withdraw that money if they don't.
And in some respect, who would, you know?
That's right. You can't just keep throwing money at it when you're not going to make anything back. You know, it's.
But the club, like, all right. Now I'm going to sound really naive here, Malk. Right? We get the biggest, or at least second biggest attendances in the league. Right? That money's going somewhere. Yeah. Is it all going on wages? Is it your agent fees?
No, it certainly ain't that. No. But yeah,
but, you know, so there's money coming in.
Yeah. But it costs money to run as well.
Of course, but I can imagine. There's loads of hidden costs. I can imagine that. I'm not trying to say that these people are and anyone's, you know, business person. They shouldn't. It shouldn't just be there as an empty checkbook. But equally, if we're successful, like I presume there's money for going up and things, isn't there, in this league?
I don't know how much. I wouldn't have thought there was a great deal at this level, but.
But then you're looking at sponsorship. You're looking at
you'd like to think promotion would gain a bit more attention from local companies who want to get their name down on sponsorship and put some money behind a club. Full stop. You know.
But with sensible investment, I mean, we're not being mad, are we? I mean, let's be honest. There's loads of clubs above us that have spent a lot more. There's probably a few clubs below us that have spent a lot more. Am I far off there, Malk?
No, you're not far off at all. You know, there's big money out there. It's certainly, you know, the horn churches and things like that, you know, when they can pay 30,000 for a player and that sort of thing and paying him big wages. You know, it's there's a lot of money out there, but then you got big backers at clubs like that, aren't you? The same as we have. You know, we got big backers at the moment, but they don't keep doing it, do they? And that's a problem. And, you know, done it for a couple of seasons and thinking that, they're going to make money on the ground move in and that sort of thing and building houses and, you know, it's not materialised. So they're taking their money back. So, or holding some of it.
Yeah, I was going to say, because they have, I mean, no, I'll get trouble for saying this, but they have put money in. They have. There's no doubt about that.
No.
You know, whatever anyone thinks of, whatever they think of the owners and all that, they have. And it's
out of their own pocket, you know. That's the thing. It's not tax evasion or anything like that. It's money out of their own pocket. So you know, there's got to be a time when you say, I can't. You know, it's not a bottomless pit, is it? You know, so ultimately, you know, there's become a time when they say enough's enough.
Yeah, times haven't got any easier for anyone either. So everyone's finding a pinch in different ways, and you know, eventually, I mean, this. Just say we carry on in this league for a little while, in this division, people are going to find it hard to just get their money together to go to a game. They can't. I have to choose sometimes which game I'm going to because I can't afford it all the time. It's dearer than it, much dearer than it used to be out of a regular, right, Saturday afternoon, boom. But you know yourself, Chris, when you're going out and you go or you get, especially when you're going away, which obviously I don't get to do so much, but you go away, you're spending a lot of money on your travel. Then you've got your booze and your anything else that you might want to
booze. We don't drink.
No. All right, Vimto. But yeah, it mounts up, doesn't it? Even at this standard, you know, and it can get an expensive day out, you know, and if you've got midweek games as well, then you're looking at quite a lot of money.
Well, I mean, to me, that shows you the loyalty of the Hastings fan base.
Yeah, God.
It's like
absolutely.
And a lot of people devote a lot of money and time to this.
Honestly, I've got
unsung heroes.
Total admiration for everybody, especially the ones who go away games, because I know how much that costs, and it's not cheap. No.
You're looking at 50 quid a game, aren't you?
Yeah.
You know, it's
exactly.
You know, 50 quid a game,
and
You know, it's that's a lot of money, isn't it? 50
And
years.
we might be
£200 a month, isn't it?
yeah, we might be getting 1,000, say, a week at home, but a lot of those are season tickets that aren't paying. They're not paying a full whack, are they? They're reduced usually, and there's a lot of youngsters going in. They don't pay full whack. There's a lot of OAPs as well, so it's not. You're not getting nearly 1,000 times £12, are you, at each game?
Are you suggesting they should put the prices up?
No, well, it's going to happen anyway. It's bound to. I was horrified at some of the prices that in the leagues above us. You know, you're only going up one league and you're 15 quid a game, and then National League, I think it's 18 quid for some of the National League games now. So quite a lot, isn't it? But the price of success, isn't it? It's what you're at. So, you know, what would happen if we ever got into the Football League? You know, as much as we all want it, it's suddenly you have to start thinking twice, don't you?
Well, yeah, you've got to do it sensibly. I mean, and if that involves, I'll tell you now, if Hastings were playing in the National League, I'll take £18 a game.
Oh, God, yeah.
I'm quite
that's the thing. I mean, you'll be paying for extra quality on your own side and the teams you're playing against and everything, won't you? So, yeah.
But I think, you know, if you look to the outlay of a club, you know, I think you'd probably be, well, we'd all be surprised, wouldn't we? Because you'd think, oh, yeah, I never thought about that, you know. And you got one guy coming in paying 12 quid to watch a game.
That's a good
You're
point.
paying the bar staff £10 an hour.
That was a
you
good
know,
point.
and they've been there 2 hours. That's 20 quid. We're 8 quid down.
I was just reading. I was just reading before.
Yeah, but we're all alcoholics, Malcolm. So
I know, and we stay longer, which means he's got to pay them longer. It's 30 quid for 3 hours, and you know.
I was reading just before.
It's our fault then.
Just before we came up, I was reading. There's a bit on Facebook about perhaps we should change the light bulbs and floodlights, for instance, LED ones. You could save money over the long period. But it's not just the cost of the bulbs, is it? You've then got to hire some way of getting it up there. You've got to get somebody to do it. Suddenly, it doubles the price. Everyone thinks, oh, that's the price of your bulb. Great. But it all adds up, doesn't it? It's all little bits here and there. And yeah, we've gone on.
We've gone off here. We've gone off on a bit of a tangent.
Yeah, we have. It's sort of linked, isn't it, in a way?
Well, I suppose so. But yeah, final thoughts on the statement. Do you want to? You've got none, John, have you?
I'd just like to say that it'd be nice to have somebody from the club come on and explain it a bit more.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I don't know how it's gone from we've got to go to Eastbourne because we're not paying anymore on the ground, and then all of a sudden we're not going to Eastbourne. You know, what's gone away? You know, as the ground suddenly modernised itself, and it doesn't need that standards. You know, suddenly become. I don't know.
Something else has happened, I think.
Well, and if the standards suddenly become all right, well, then that someone was exaggerating when they first said it. Do you know what I mean? So it's and so. But from my point of view, I just think that whoever has to have conversations, because obviously we've got Gary and Meany, I'm sure they're going to be thinking about budgets for next season at some point, depending on how the season goes.
They already are, I should think.
More than likely.
Yeah.
And to hear. I hope that they've had a conversation with the ownership. Yeah, because you know,
you got to have, because at the end of the day, Chris, you know how football works. At the end of the day, you cut a budget, you lose players. You know, and you not only do you lose players, you can't attract new players because you can't pay them decent wages, and you know you end up on a slippery slope. Then, don't you? You know, because you go down another league because you can't attract the players, and then you can't attract them even more because you're too low a level, you know, so it just you end up going further and further down. You know, it's I don't know. I think tile kilns got to happen. Something's got to happen because we're not. You haven't got facilities for the girls' football. You know,
that's the bit. That's the bit that worries me just as much as what I see on Saturday afternoon. Is the club has built up so much community stuff over the last 5 years, really. You never used to have all these youth teams playing for them and girls teams and all that. Look what they've done. That's why you won't see everybody connecting to all those youth teams and all that up on a pilot field on a Saturday afternoon. But they're there at all the other games, and it's just as interesting and it's still part of the club, isn't it? It's not just one team anymore or two teams. Right. Yeah. It used to be two teams, the first team and a reserve team. Yeah, I'm going back probably 40 years, but look at it now. Is it 29 clubs or something like that? Teams in the club? It's mad, isn't it?
And I forget all the people doing it, but obviously there's Jake Daniels who does the kids and that.
Yeah, and a lot of that's all voluntary, isn't it? So,
well, they need to talk to Malk, get a decent agent, mate. Voluntary.
yeah.
The touching on all of that. As I said to you, the council they've said that facilities are coming, right? And facilities are coming, right? So an announcement will be soon.
Okay.
I have heard this, but that's what I heard, and but that's what I've heard. The facilities are coming, right? I've also heard strongly that there's other options other than Tynekiln.
This is where I think there's something.
And the strong option I heard, which was the Horntine site as well.
That'd be handy.
But about
100 yards.
What needs to happen is that people need to talk to each other, not threaten each other, and sort something out that's going to be good for this town and for our football team. Because it's not just about our football team; it's about facilities for this town. So because we want everyone playing sport, we want active kids.
Oh God, yeah.
So it's not all about Hastings United.
No, I've got a mate of mine who you might know, Andy Barr. He lives in Maidstone, and the community football and stuff around that club up there, their crime rate amongst youngsters has gone downhill. It's just completely almost obliterated. Obviously, they've still got some, but they're more interested in the club now. Some of these youngsters are, they're playing football, they're doing other stuff around the club. Suddenly they got an interest rather than sitting on a corner on the street,
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah, it is important.
Really important these days. And,
and that's why places like Tynekiln have got to happen. It's used, the 3G pitches, with floodlights are used every night around in Kent. You can't get on a 3G pitch at all in Kent, every night of the week because it's used, and that's where the kids are.
Yeah.
Right, moving on from that very quickly, Wingate and Finchley, home fixture. I'm away. I'm up north. I'm watching the Mackhams. I'm at Sunderland game, getting rid of my dad's ashes, not throwing them at anyone, but throwing them somewhere very nice. That will mean something nice. But Windy and Malk, are you boys at the game?
Yes.
No, I won't be there. I'm afraid I'm working on the night. So
yeah, I'm hoping to be there. It's not going to be easy. Wingate in a false position, I think. They've had another team on a bit of a roll in the Form League. They're only 2 points behind us in the Form League. That's the last 6 games, for those who don't know. And they beat Bognor at the weekend, 4-2. So, another game, it's not going to be easy. But, beatable, obviously. So, yeah, hopefully it'll be a good game.
Yeah.
There's other teams up there now, aren't there? Like Folkestone are suddenly on a roll as well. And it'd be interesting. They've got Bishop Stortford Saturday, so it'd be interesting to see how they get on.
Yeah, that's going to be a toughie. I'm mentioning Bishop Stortford, just for anyone listening, on the 11th for your away day, there is a jolly. Train is leaving at 8:21 in the morning, which will be full of Hastings fans, where we will all be drinking Vimto.
So you should.
And it's usually a good crack. Whenever we do our jollies every season, they're always a good fun. It's about the day. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it obviously matters about the result, but it doesn't matter about the result really. We all have fun. So please join us. 8:21 Hastings Station. That's on the 11th. Lads, listen. Thanks for coming on.
One other thing, Chris, very quickly. You haven't heard anything about the Sussex Senior Cup match, have you? It's still outstanding. It's ridiculous. They played
the Midhurst game, yeah?
Yeah.
Midhurst Eastbourne.
They know who the other semi-finalists are, I think, after tonight. But we still got 2 or 3 rounds to go yet, if we win. It's really weird.
I don't understand it at all.
Even Midhurst don't know. I saw it on Twitter. They said they haven't got a clue what's going on. So bizarre.
Wow.
Bizarre.
Yeah, very odd. Well, it just makes the competition look naff, doesn't it? It's
well, that's it. It used to be. Yeah, it used to be quite a prime thing. This time of the year, you might be out of all the other competitions, but the Sussex Senior Cup is still going on, and you stand a chance. We've got a good chance this year of getting to the final because Brighton's out, Crawley's out, and there's I think it's Horsham left in there, Bognor. They're all beatable, aren't they? So
yeah.
And wouldn't that be nice to end playing the finals at Amex as well? So.
Going up and a cup as well.
Yeah,
Brilliant, wouldn't it?
yeah, double season. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. Lads, thank you. Take care.
Bye, mate.
Won't see you at the game, but see you the week after. Take care, lads. Cheers.
Yeah, see you later, lads.
Good man. Yeah.
That's it for another week, Grassroots Football fans. Whoever you're going to watch this week, make sure you're loud and proud. As ever, if you want to get in contact with the show, or have any suggestions, or want to get in on our weekly roundtables, that email again is hufcpod@gmail.com, or on the Twitter, which is @HUFCpodcast. You can get this podcast on all major platforms, be it Google Podcasts, Audible, iTunes, Spotify, or Amazon Music. And we have a jam-packed YouTube channel, chock-a-block, full of video interviews and episodes from the podcast. Please, please, please give it a look, a comment, or a like, but definitely subscribe. It's all free. All that's left for me to say is, I've been your host, Chris Laverick. Hope you have a good week, and see you at the game.